My name's Gareth Evans, you're listening to The Little Pot of Horrors.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Little Pot of Horrors. As always, I am Goggs, and as always, I am joined by the wonderful Mr. Boz. Hello, sir.
Good evening.
Oh, that's a deep and sexy voice.
No, I just got a cold.
Oh, damn.
I am actually, but I have to apologise. I sound a bit like not with it tonight, and some things just go straight over my head. I am a bit ill. Not super ill, just not myself. So, thankfully, you won't hear me running off and throwing up. Unlike some people, but no, I just a disclaimer before we start.
Oh, that's not good. Why is it we're always ill when we're doing this show? Either one of us is or something. I thought I was fine last show, but then when I listened back to it, very nasally. So,
thing is with me though, the kind of ironic thing is anybody who actually sort of sees me very, very often or like daily almost. I said to my boss on Friday, I feel like absolute shit. He was like, "Really? You're ill?" I was like, "Yeah." Go figure. Because I think what it is I have one of those immune systems which just destroys germs.
Right.
But in the process of doing it, I feel terrible. But I do often think that a lot of the bugs I get would have some people just leaking at both ends. I don't know if you've seen Kick-Ass 2.
No one yet.
But there's a scene very similar somewhere in that film. Some people would be like that, whereas I just get like a bit of stomach ache and feel a bit nauseous and get headaches for a couple of days and then I'm fine. So, it's probably just one of those.
Possibly.
That's far too much information for the beginning of a podcast. I do apologise.
A little bit of information, but hey, maybe you've got some flesh-eating virus and we can bring it round to the horror aspect.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I don't know. That would be cool. We get to start this show off yet again with feedback. This is awesome. So it is. I think we're just, that's 4 or 5 shows in a row we have feedback. And we give back to the good old Admiral himself, who has sent in another one to us. So thank you, sir.
You're going to have to put up on a voice for this.
It's a little bit in 2 parts, and I don't know if I can do the first part any justice, because I find it difficult to read.
Do you want me to have a crack, then?
You can have a crack.
You do the
Plus,
second half.
Very rude in the first one again. So.
Okay, there might be a couple of takes of this, because it's a stylistic piece, you could say.
It is, yes.
Okay, here goes. Unto my dearest Messrs. Bosington and Gogsworth St. John Smythe, Esquire. I trust this missive finds you both, my dear gentlemen, in the finest of health. No. It is with heavy heart that I take pen in hand to respond herein to your most deserved rebuke. I am thoroughly abashed and shall in all ways endeavour to avoid peppering my correspondences henceforth with such salty language as, I am in no doubt, cause those of the fairer sex to swoon most distressingly. I humbly beg you fine gentlemen to find in your copious hearts some small forgiveness for my crassness and boorish ways, and will grant me leave to make amends in future. Rest assured that ne'er again shall such pernicious penmanship pass hither unto your august presence. I remain your most humble servant, Lord Richard Arseblaster Fuckbubble of Cuntington, Esquire. I'm standing up.
As you should, yes. Everyone stand up. Oh, we love him so much. And then he continues, right, now that's out of the way, how about some actual feedback? I actually tried to watch Scream when it first hit video, but only got so far as Miss Barrymore's death before turning it off. Seriously? It's like 5 minutes. Okay, yep. I had been told it was funny, but as you eloquently put in the podcast, it is only funny if you get the tongue-in-cheek references. I, of course, did not, so it just grossed me out and I turned it off. Hang on, it grossed you out after the first 5 minutes?
There was the sort of eviscerated boyfriend in the chair, if you remember, at that point, which I think actually is probably the most gruesome part in the movie. It doesn't give you a lot of time to look at it, but there's a lot of blood around the midriff sort of area.
Yeah. I just kind of keep looking at it and thinking it's like £2 of sausages just hanging out. Anyway. As for Drew herself, at the time she was less a movie star and more a celebrity. We all knew her for work in E.T. and for her very famous descent into drug abuse at the hands of the Hollywood machine. However, in the early 90s she pulled herself out of that downward spiral and at the time was more famous for getting her shit together, oops, there I go again, and living life on her own terms than she was for any big film roles. Still love the show, yada yada yada, bollocks. Tee, hugs and kisses, Rick.
Lovely British bollocks there. Capital letters with exclamation marks.
We do love you, Rick.
Well, he's all right.
Fuck you.
Yay! Hello, sir.
Where did he come from?
What are you doing on here?
We're working on a new silent transporter on the starbase.
Fucking hell, it scared the shit out of me.
That is not good. Well, I guess we should explain what you're doing here, sir.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, we had the pleasure of coming aboard the Starbase, or the Admiral's table anyway, and you allowed us to plug our show. But just before that, you mentioned that you'd quite like to get into the horror genre some more.
I don't think that's quite how I put it, but okay.
Well, that's how we're going to take it anyway.
I think he painted himself more as willing victim.
Yes, that's very true. Well, as you know, Rick has given us lots and lots of feedback over the past few shows, since the very beginning actually, and is delving into different aspects of horror, and kind of mentioned before that is the horror movie viewing kind of our version of what you used to do for Here Goes Nothing, Boz's old show, and which actually have to plug it. They just released another episode not that long ago, so go along and check that out, people. Here Goes Nothing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Which is an awesome show. And you used to try out...
I have to disagree.
Oh, no, okay.
Fucking awesome show.
There you go. Oh, thank you. And you used to review beers and send in your little reviews on that.
Yes.
So we thought we would do the same thing with this show, which has got both Boz and I very excited about bringing you on board. Yeah. And we have decided that you deserve your own little jingle as well.
Oh, dear.
And saying that, Mr. Boz, if you would.
It's my absolute pleasure. The Admiral of a Starbase. Podcasting hero to thousands. Absolute pussy when it comes to horror. Admiral, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to watch the movies we prescribe. To explore strange new corners of the genre. To boldly watch what pussies like you have never watched before. Mission, I'm a puss-able. This god-awful jingle will self-destruct in, well, now really, I haven't got 3 seconds.
That was fucking awesome.
We had so much fun.
So yes, so welcome to the first installment of Mission I'm a Pussable. Where Boz and I have thought long and hard about what your first assignment should be, sir.
Yeah.
I almost can't wait.
We thought we'd let you in gently, or break you in gently, shall we say, and keep it kind of light-hearted, with not too much gore or anything out there, and also perhaps settle a long-running debate that we have been having on the show.
Yes.
So your first mission, should you choose to accept it, is to watch not one, but 2 movies. Shark Night and Piranha.
Oh, okay.
The new Piranha.
Yes.
The new one.
The
new one. You'll thank me for some of it and curse me for other bits.
Okay. All right, let me write this down here. Shark Night. Okay, I thought you were going to throw me into the Raimi side of the pool, but okay.
Oh, not yet. No.
Okay.
No, we tried to take your sensibilities on board, and because when we were lucky enough to be on the Admiral's table, again, I brought it round to bloody deep blue sea. So we talked about, like, dangerous fishies, so I thought, what better to start you off than dangerous fishies?
Okay. I will do this.
Yay!
Yeah, okay. I dig monsters, for the most part. The only reason I didn't see Piranha is I heard it was really, really stupid. But
well, it is. But
it's stupid in that it's supposed to be stupid way, and they knew it was supposed to be stupid, and they did stupid brilliantly. That's why it's so good. Tongue in cheek and boobs. Sorry.
That's very true. There are lots of boobs, and you will be the deciding vote in who is correct.
Okay.
So we shall. Now we can draw this one to a close, people. The Admiral will have spoken, and then that's it. Yeah. We will no longer be allowed to criticise the other.
And the good thing is with these movies is you can't say, well, that was a 3D movie and I'm watching it not in 3D, because they're both 3D movies. So they've both got scenes in tailored for 3D, and obviously you'll be watching them in real D. So
yeah,
they're even there as well.
Now, in the interest of full disclosure, just to make things simpler, y'all were talking about a couple of movies that I've actually tried to watch and couldn't finish. I think on the last show. You mentioned Fright Night and Troll Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
And, both movies, well, Fright Night just bored me. I turned it off after 45 minutes.
Understandable.
And Troll Hunter, I was digging it up until the trolls showed up, and then I was like, is this fucking Scooby-Doo? And, and then I turned it off because it was just too damn stupid. I was expecting the trolls to be something really scary and awesome, and them take the whole troll mythology, which is kind of silly anyway, and make it interesting and awesome and spooky and scary. And instead, they looked like something out of the frickin' Flintstones.
I think that might be a minority view.
I heard a lot of great stuff about it, and again, I got 45. No, I think I made it an hour into that, and I was like, this is just ridiculous. And I turned it off.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah. I was a victim of the overhype as well, because it wasn't as good as I was led to believe either. If I'd seen it cold when I first heard about it, I'd probably be one of those people raving about it. But by the time I got round to it, it had all passed way under the bridge way before, excuse the pun.
Then I'm glad then that I watched it without knowing anything about it. Or maybe, I don't know really much on trolls, other than, isn't that what eats Billy Goat Gruff or whatever? So I didn't get to think that anything was really kind of stupid or far-fetched or anything like that. I was just swept up and kind of engrossed in what I was watching. So, interesting. This is going to be interesting then, I think. It's going to be a good little trio we're going to have here. As to what your views are going to be on, especially now that you're saying that you thought Troll Hunter was stupid. I'm really going, oh my god, Shark Night and Piranha, what the hell have we done to you, sir?
Well, if I'm you see, I guess maybe I did fall into the hype. I was expecting a good movie, not a silly film that you could enjoy. And when the first troll showed up and it looked like a cartoon character, and I was like, all right,
it was the big nose, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then the two-headed troll shows up, and then the guy's like, it doesn't really have two heads. One of them is a growth or something that they get when they... And I was just like, really? And both times, I think I had the same exact thought. I was watching it, and I paused it either to go get something to eat or take a leak or something. And I was like, I can either turn this back on, or I can go on the internet and be more entertained.
We don't want to know about that kind of thing.
So and Fright Night really disappointed me because I love the original, but and I never made it to David Tennant.
Well, that's when it got good. Well, goodish.
Yeah.
The best bits, I would say.
It is when it got better, but
yeah, it wasn't great.
Well, don't feel as though you have to sit through these two movies then.
Oh no, I will.
Okay.
I will. I have put my head on the chopping block, so to speak, and I will see it through.
We are looking forward to this.
Of course, given that I'm the insomniac in the house and I'm often wandering around in the middle of the night when no one else is awake, just if you hear your names being cursed.
Yes, we'll wake up at 3 a.m. feeling a disturbance in the force. We'll be, I know what Rick's doing.
You'll just wake up and each of you will have an email that just says, fuck you!
But even that, you'll see a disturbance on Twitter, I was going to say, but yeah. Brilliant. Well,
all right. Well, I have my assignment, and I shall see it through, sirs.
Thank you, and we look forward to having you on board.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm looking forward to it. Ever since I've started listening. Well, obviously, because I keep writing y'all. It's been one of those. Gee, I kind of wish I knew more about what y'all are talking about, so I could be of more use to you instead of just sending profane emails every now and then. So.
We'll have you up to hostile before you know it.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Well, that's where we're going to have to find our boundaries.
Yes.
So we are, because eventually there may be one in there that we're not deliberately going to put something in there that we know is not to your cup of tea, but there may be something that just pushes into that territory.
We've got to push some boundaries.
Yes.
That's fine. I just, something that, at the risk of using the term you all hate, the whole thing is not my cup of tea at all.
Yeah.
I think you'll find it's not that we hate it, it's just banned on this show as a term.
Yeah, and I shan't use it again. But,
in fact, you should bleep that, Gordon.
Although, I have to admit, again, after hearing you all talk about it, part of me is very curious about Saw 1. Although I don't
Brilliant
know
film.
that I could make it through it, but I'm curious about it.
Oh, you can make it through that.
Yeah. After a few goes at what you're doing with this section, I very much think you'll be fine with it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can get there.
We'll get you there. Don't worry. We'll ease you gently into it.
Yeah.
We just have to say thank you for volunteering and putting your body on the sacrificial altar, and we'll try to be kind to it.
Well, I appreciate that. So I shan't delay you all any further from creating a wonderful show that I can't wait to listen to, and I shall be reporting back anon.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir. We look forward to it. And to play us out, Mr. Boz, once again, play the jingle.
The Admiral of a Starbase. Podcasting hero to thousands. Absolute pussy when it comes to horror. Admiral, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to watch the movies we prescribe. To explore strange new corners of the genre. To boldly watch what pussies like you have never watched before. Mission: I'm a puss-able. This god-awful jingle will self-destruct in, well, now really, I haven't got 3 seconds.
All I've got to say is that is a fantastic jingle, Mr. Boz. Thank you, sir. And
That's right.
I am so looking forward to this particular section of the show.
Yeah,
I hope the Admiral will have a lot of fun with it. Let's just see. If anyone out there has any recommendations for what we should put the Admiral through, then please let us know. So we do thelittlepodofhorrors@gmail.com.
And I think anybody's listened to some of the feedback he sent in, you can hear how colourful and verbose he can be. So I'm looking forward to some of the adjectives and expletives that will be employed over the coming months.
And I think we've certainly started him off on a doozy. So,
yeah.
Okay, now with that out of the way, let's jump right into what we've been watching.
Yee.
I'm not sure who should go first on this one. Because I think we might have a little bit of an overlap, kind of, with the theme that we thought we'd killed off the last show, which we're going to bring back in this show. And I'm sorry, people, it's our show. We can do that. So I'm going to start off with, I took on Natalie's feedback from the last show.
Ah, yes.
And sought out some Australian horror. And I tried to find on Netflix what movies she recommended, but I couldn't find anything on there. I will keep, they're on my list, and I will keep actively trying to seek them out where I can. But one that did pop up was a little movie called The Clinic, from 2010. And little IMDb synopsis: while traveling across country with her fiancé, Beth wakes alone in an isolated clinic to a mother's worst nightmare. Just how far will she go to save her child? And the poster is basically, you can see, it says The Clinic, but the first eye in Clinic is a little incision scar on her belly.
Oh.
Yeah. Pretty much that almost kind of goes into spoiler territory, and I didn't really want to go there. But it's not really spoiler territory. That's kind of after the first half hour you find this. But basically the first 5-10 minutes is this guy and girl, their fiance and fiancée, are travelling across Australia going to her mother's for Christmas. And they decide to stop off somewhere, as you do. Now, I'm starting to generally come to the conclusion that the bush or the outback of Australia is kind of like a lot of places over in America that you generally don't want to stop in the middle of nowhere, where there's just a creepy little ass motel. I would just kind of keep driving and just run out of gas or something.
Yeah.
But they stop there, and stereotypical, there's a kind of old lecherous man who's behind the desk, kind of wearing a dirty wife beater and just looks greasy and sweaty and kind of pervy at at Beth, who's kind of standing outside, and he's, "Oh, you did good for yourself, son. Look at the tits on her, blah blah blah." It's kind of just kind of, right. But basically, they check in, and the guy wakes up in the middle of the night, can't sleep, goes for a little walk, comes back, fiance's gone. Dun dun dun, little note on the pillow, and obviously he thinks that they took her. This guy, the owner of the motel, took her. Calls the cops. Cops are like, "Come on, we can't even stop going down accusations here. There's no proof. There's a note. There's no signs of struggle or anything like that. Just let it be. Just calm down." And the fiancé is going absolute nuts, going, "Fuck you. I know he did it or had something to do with it. Where is she?"
Yeah.
Which is understandable. Makes me wonder, because you've seen this kind of horror trope time and time and time again, as to, okay, there's something's going on here, and I can quite believe the guy's behind it. Anyway, the fiancé punches the motel owner, gets taken into custody, and then the next thing, you get the shot of Beth, who wakes up naked in a bathtub with ice, full of ice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's normally the kidney gone scenario.
Yes, that's what I thought at first. I wasn't thinking, hey, the baby. I don't know why, but that was my first thing, was the kidneys. And then no, you see the incision, and she comes to and gets out of the bath and comes across this set of clothing with the Roman numerals DCV III on it. And then it's very strange, and I don't want to go any further than that.
Right.
Other than, it might not go as far, it doesn't go as far as, say, Inside, the French movie. So there's nothing that's kind of grotesque.
I still haven't seen that. I have to see that.
You should. Awesome movie. But it has got, I wouldn't say it's not scary. It puts you on unease. It kind of keeps you questioning all the way through it. But unfortunately for me, this was a real good 4-star, 8-star movie for me. And then came to the end, and
this is the one you commented about on the Facebook.
Yeah, it's just I don't know what it is. I mean, we know that horror movies don't end well, but I don't know where this one was going. I don't understand it. It just made no sense and completely left me with a what the fuck at the end of it, and kind of just tainted the movie for me. So,
annoying.
Based on your recommendation, I have now found the time code where I think the movie should stop. I would recommend that if anybody does watch this, at 1 hour and 27 minutes, you'll know what this little time clock is. Stop it there. Don't watch anymore. You don't need to watch anymore. Just leave it there. It's perfect. If you wish to watch any more, come back in 10 or 15 minutes after you've composed your thoughts on the movie as a whole, and then watch that little bit. And then
because you know I'd have to. I would have to see.
And you'll thank me for it.
What annoyed you so much?
And you'll go, you know what? You're right. But I think it was a great little movie until then. Being out in the bush, it really plays on the vastness of how alone you can be out there. And so it played everything like that really, really well done. So I will be checking out more Australian horrors. And hopefully they can maintain this level of creepiness. But I am starting to compare a lot of Australia to America in those types of movies, if that makes sense. Kind of the stereotypes.
Well, it's funny you should mention Australian horror, because I was similarly inspired. And I'd love to say it was all me, but no, it wasn't. Basically, because of Fright Fest, they, in tandem with Fright Fest, run a series of movies on Film 4. And if you've got Sky Plus, you can just do a series link, and it will record every movie that they're showing in association with Fright Fest.
Awesome.
And they showed Australian horror. and some other really weird shit, which I'll get to later. And some of which I haven't watched yet, but it does mean my DVR is nicely packed with horror movies at the moment, which makes a rare change. Because normally we just have the horror channel, which only has like 4 movies I haven't seen on repeat. This film was called Primal. It's from 2010, and it's very stylized. Mm-hmm. But it's really hard to put my finger on whether I like it or not.
Okay.
It gets 4.8 on IMDb, which should say the normal thing about it. It's a horror film. Yeah. And it's got some funny little moments in it. Basically, a group of friends go to some caves because this girl I think it's her uncle was there or something, and they want to go and find these cave paintings that nobody's ever seen before. Mm-hmm. But she's massively claustrophobic, and basically they need to get to the other side of this like outcrop of rock. Everybody else goes through the caves in the middle. She has to sort of go around the outside in the car because she can't go through these caves.
Right, okay.
She's all weirded out by them. Basically, it's there's something evil in the woods kind of a setup. Uh-huh. And one of the guys gets attacked by a hilarious bunny rabbit with just nasty, sharp, pointy teeth. I mean, it is the bunny rabbit from the Holy Grail that attacks him, basically. And he just, like, kicks his head in and hangs it from a tree sort of thing. And yeah, you can fill in the blanks from there. It's pretty stock stuff, but there's a couple of, the average kills, I suppose. But there is this sort of dark comedy, sort of tongue-in-cheekness to it. Uh-huh. But again, it does just suffer from a really, kind of an ending and some bad CG. So it wasn't horrendous, and it did give me I think it redeemed my bias caused by Wolf Creek and Australian horror, but. I'm now doubting how Australian Wolf Creek actually was. Somebody might correct me on that, because obviously I haven't looked into it as usual. But I think that might have had more influence from over here. I could be completely wrong about that. But Primal feels very Aussie to me.
Okay.
And I would say it's worth a look if you're curious. You'll know halfway through if you're going to turn it off or not.
I think I started watching this on Netflix and gave up after like 10 minutes.
Oh, really? Well, there was a couple of bits where I laughed out loud at preposterous things, which I tend to do.
As you have to do.
Yeah. So it was all right. It was all right. I haven't given up on it.
Okay.
So there is another Australian film I'm very keen to see, but we'll get to that later.
Yes. See, there you go, Natalie. You've had an impact on the show. Whether you wanted to or not, you had an impact on the show. I don't know how to tie this next one in, because it kind of ties in with something else. But pretty much, Fright Fest has been and gone, people.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about it, because Mr. Boz was lucky enough to be able to attend some of it.
I was.
You bastard. And then, as a result of the last show and me talking about what I'd done, I went on and did a quite extensive blog posts on the movies and what I thought about them, what were going to be good and what were going to be bad. Then I was on a kind of little mission, what to find, what to watch, and noticed that a lot of the movies that were showing this year at Fright Fest were popping up on video on demand. And I was like, awesome. This is a good little way for me to catch up on some of the stuff. Unfortunately, it wasn't the more mainstream stuff. It was kind of all the ones that I thought, really? I'm not quite sure if I want to be watching this kind of thing. Yeah. But I decided I would put a little poll out there for people. And then, in case anyone's wondering, I've just been basically, my last week of my life has been immersed in the little pot of horrors. The things I do for you guys. We had a blog many months ago, which I did nothing with. But I have now started to do something with it. So if you go along to thelittlepotofhorrors.com and click on the blog, you'll get to it. Or if you just go to the littlepotofhorrors.wordpress.com, you'll get to it that way.
He has been a busy boy.
Very busy boy.
And I really should contribute myself as well at some point.
But I put a little poll out there, basically saying, how should Goggs spend his weekend? And put some movies up there, which I could find, that I would watch if I had to. The things I do for you people.
Keen?
Unfortunately, the one that I really wanted to watch, nobody fucking voted for. But the choices were Frankenstein's Army, the Dyatlov Pass incident, which for some reason has been changed for American audiences to call it Devil's Pass, Hatchet 3, The Conspiracy, No One Lives, or I just said, forget Frightfest, watch American Mary instead, which is based on your recommendation, sir.
Yeah.
Or you mentioning it, anyway, and I can't remember which show it was, but you mentioned it not that long ago.
And it being a previous Frightfest, it kind of is Frightfesty as well.
And so then the votes come in your thousands. That's really a joke, but it's not. And you bastards, the people out there gave me the 33% of the vote went to Frankenstein's army. 22% of the vote went to Dyatlov Pass Incident. 22% of the vote went to Forget Frightfest, Watch American Mary. 1% went to Hatchet 3, 1% went to The Conspiracy, and 0% went to No One Lives. Which is the one I really wanted to watch. But hey, so I basically just took the top 3 and watched them.
Right. And
then this movie that I'm about to talk to just links in slightly because of the name, but this movie is the Frankenstein Theory. So I thought, I'll go on, this has been on Netflix for a while. I've been interested in it, and I thought it would tie in with Frankenstein's army.
Okay, I think we're recording.
The Frankenstein monster is real, and I think I can find him.
So, Carl, what do you think of Jonathan's theory? You believe him?
Bagged a lot of big game in my day. Wouldn't mind bagging myself for Frankenstein.
Carl scares me.
Oh, and that's a gun.
No, he really scares me.
Welcome to Potter's Gulch.
Population us.
This place gives me the creeps.
Well,
What?
I thought I saw something.
He is out there, you know. What's that? I don't like this place, man.
There's something out there.
It's him. I can feel his presence.
Oh my god.
There's blood. What? Over here. Oh my god.
Luke! Guys, Luke! No.
You've got to go.
I'm not going anywhere. On the verge of a great scientific discovery. I'm not going anywhere!
It's gonna be okay, right?
Don't make a sound.
It's Frankenstein Theory. Oh, look, found footage. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's basically, what if Frankenstein the novel was actually a work of non-fiction, and that the letters that the book is based on were actually true letters writing about a creature that someone had actually created. And this guy saying, I can't remember his name, Venkheim, Professor John Venkheim, is basically been ridiculed. It's his family name, and he's been ridiculed for saying, no, Frankenstein's monster is actually based, or in the novel, is actually based on a real creature. There is a proper Frankenstein out there. I have evidence, I have proof, and the only thing I'm missing is actually catching him on film.
It's a cool idea.
It is. Very interesting idea. Obviously, he gets the piss taken out of him at any possible opportunity, because it's like, really? Okay. And he pays for this little documentary team to get together and go up to Canada, because that's where Frankenstein would be.
Of course.
Or the creature, sorry, we shouldn't call him Frankenstein. The creature would be. And they go about trying to find him.
The pause says everything.
3.8 on IMDb. I think it's a little bit harsh. I'd probably go right on the fence with this one and say a kind of 5 out of 10.
Okay.
2.5, maybe 3-star on it. It's genuinely very creepy. There are some genuine little scares in there. It doesn't do anything out of the norm, really, for the found footage aspect. It's kind of follows all the little cliches and all that fun stuff. It ends really well, or I thought it ended really well anyway. And yeah, I mean,
it looks pretty good.
It's only an hour and a half. Horror. It's got monsters in it and a couple of scares. It's nothing really truly horrific.
Right.
But if you want to kill an hour and a half, and you're like, you know what, let's keep giving found footage some love, if we have to, then you switch it on.
It looked very Blair Witch in style.
There are some very Blair Witch-esque moments. The night vision gets used as it has to. There's a crying scene, which there has to be. So, and you're obviously going to make that comparison. I mean, it's if you watch Blair Witch, then
well, it's woolly hats in the woods, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's generally what you're getting when you go up to Canada.
Yeah.
So it's. I'm going to say the funny thing for me is when I watched at the end was going, my God, I'm never going to Canada, and then getting to the end and seeing it filmed in Alaska. I thought, what the fuck? What? Is it usually movies say they're filmed in America or set in America but film in Canada, but now this one's filming in Canada or set in Canada but filmed in America? What the hell? I'm sure there were all sorts of tax reasons or financial reasons behind it, but
yeah,
it made me chuckle.
To be fair, you do have to go through Canada to get to Alaska, so it's not a big stretch, really, is it?
No, that's very true. That is very true. But yeah. Nah. It was all I can say was it was better than the other Frankenstein one. Frankenstein's Army.
It's not far. If we get a move on, we can be there by noon. You see anything? Come on! Let's move down to the church. What is that? Don't touch it! What are you?
Only the Nazis would think of something like this. Sewing dead people together. Giving them knives for hands. It's insane.
Come in. Oh, don't be shy. Simple mechanics, engineering. Each one is still alive. It works. You're insane. Vision is always misunderstood.
Now, you said, like, looking at the trailer, this looked absolutely god-awful. Does it have any redeeming features?
Yes.
Ooh.
It does, actually. I don't know whether it was brilliant, whether it was awful, or whether it was just brilliantly awful. It's not one I'm going to go back to. It's not one I wish to own or anything like that. It's shot very, very well. It tries to be a little bit clever with, oh look, we're supposedly shooting this using the cameras and the films that would have been around at World War II and things like that. And that starts to kind of piss me off a little bit, because I'm like, okay, you don't really need to be seeing the film jumping a little bit, or it's starting to get red and those kind of things. Are like, okay, we get it. We know what you're trying to do. We're not stupid. It's found footage again, and it is over the top with the Dr. Frankenstein and the creations that he comes up with. But it wasn't played for laughs, if you know what I mean.
Oh, okay.
If that makes any sort of sense.
Because the monsters look very much like they're played for laughs.
Yes, but they're there for a reason. They have a mission. They're controlled. They're it's not really. I mean, this isn't really a kind of spoiler, but maybe kind of is. But basically, Dr. Frankenstein's just out there to show what can be done. That there's nothing in your imagination that you can't do. So if you think that he actually mentions this, that wouldn't the human being be a lot more productive if instead of having hands, he would like have a hammer for a hand and a screwdriver for another hand? You could do lots of things that way. So he makes a
Except wipe your ass.
Well, yes, that would be very difficult. So there's someone with a hammer and a screwdriver making things.
Okay.
So those kind of things. There's kind of a method behind the madness.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, getting really impressed with the level of thought and creativity that had gone behind all these creations. And probably, I mean, I don't know how much money was spent on this, but there's a lot of stuff you can throw together with some junk and stuff. But it looks as though it's got a bit of money behind it. And the production value was really good from the sets and explosions and bits and pieces like that. So there was a lot of genuine love gone into making this. But it just, I regret paying so much money for it.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, because it was more expensive than what I thought it was originally going to be.
Right.
Because I wanted to watch it on. Because for some reason, it pisses me off when this happens that it was cheaper on iTunes than it was anywhere else. I don't want to sit on my computer and watch a movie. I wanted to watch it on my sofa and watch it on the big screen. So
You need an Apple TV.
I do need an Apple TV. Best. So it was like more expensive watching on Amazon than everywhere else. For some weird, I don't know if there's a rights reason behind it or $7 off it. I don't know. But I watched it.
That is a lot.
Yes, it is a lot for it, and I felt a bit ripped off with it. But I had kind of put it off all day, going. I really don't want to watch this. I really don't, but I'm going to because
I'm the opposite. You see, I was dying to see that film.
But I'm going to because people voted for it, and I will do what our people ask us to do.
Totally up my alley by the sounds of it. I bet I love it. I bet it's one of those divisive between you and me movies.
Possibly. But I can't say I hated it, but I can't say I liked it. But I found some good qualities in it, shall we say.
Well, that's better than some of the shit we watched.
That is very, very true. Very, very true. And then we will go backwards to see the movie I watched before that, because I didn't want to put this on at night time, because I wasn't quite sure how to feel about it, having watched the trailer. It was American Mary.
Oh, yes.
I quit med school today, but that shouldn't come as a surprise to you.
What's this?
It's my resume.
No, you don't need it to work here, but it is nice to find out some of your dirty secrets. Want to be a doctor?
Surgeon.
Follow me.
What do I have to do?
Yeah, we preferred if Rat was not to die tonight.
You can put the bed down, Dr. Mason. I'm just a desperate woman looking for help.
What exactly does she want me to do? I'm changing specialties, Dr. Grant. Have you ever heard of body modification? Do you think I'm crazy?
And?
Wow.
Yes!
Wow.
I mean, just to start, doesn't it look incredible?
Oh, Jesus, yeah. I mean, I haven't watched Dead Hooker in the Trunk. I was going to try and watch it before, but just because I know you had said that it was kind of low budget, and then obviously they got more money.
You've only got to watch the trailer to see where they jumped from and to, really.
But, oh man, I mean, the lead actress, Catherine Isabel, is phenomenal in this movie. I mean, it really pisses me off that these kind of actresses don't get proper credit being in horror movies.
Yeah.
Outside of, obviously, horror award programs. Because she's just amazing. I can see, it's a very divisive kind of 6.1 rating in IMDb, which I can see why people wouldn't like it, because it's incredibly over the top in the body mutilation that what she does. I don't think actually we've discussed what it's about, so I'll do the usual plot summary thing. Is the story follows medical student Mary Mason as she becomes increasingly broke and disenchanted with the surgical world she once admired. The allure of easy money sends Mary into the world of underground surgeries, which ends up leaving more marks on her than her so-called freakish clientele.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good summary. Watch the trailer, people, but do not be put off by the trailer.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the trailer does the movie justice. It sets up a lot of the freakish clientele that it mentions in the summary, but it does not do it justice. You have to watch this movie. This is a little pot of horror recommendation stamp all over it. It's awesome.
I'm glad you liked it.
Oh, yeah. The only complaint I have on it is the sound quality that I was watching sucked. So it was all over the place. But the effects in this, the practical effects, are amazing. The characters are outstanding, and Mary's, let's say, the lead actress, just blows out the water. I think that was a perfect
It's so
fit.
stylized as well.
Yeah.
The editing, the lighting, the cinematography is just brilliant on it. I loved it. I loved the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
I was actually a little disappointed there wasn't more of the sort of the body modification stuff in it actually, but that would be my only criticism.
It could have gone a lot worse or a lot more depraved than what you see. I mean, some of the stuff that you see is pretty, extreme.
Yeah.
And it's not really a spoiler, but the really bit that freaked me out was the tongue cutting thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that just weirded me out so much when I saw the guy moving his tongue. Ah, it still does, just the thought of it. To which my wife...
You've seen Evil Dead remake, haven't you?
I know, but they didn't move it. Oh, I don't know. Didn't move it quite like that, which my wife thought was hilarious.
Because it wasn't a real one.
My wife thought my reaction was hilarious. She's like, you watch so much shit and that freaks you out the most. I'm like, just leave me alone.
It is, no, but when you watch so much gruesome stuff, it is the weird tangential shit that upsets you. It's really strange.
Yeah.
It really is.
But yeah, people, please watch this. There's nothing too grotesque in it, really. No, I don't think it is. No,
it's not too bad.
No, I mean there's a lot of blood scenes and stuff in it, but nothing.
It's not as grotesque as the trailer makes you think it's going to be, and I think I'd built up my anticipation levels to be it was going to be really sort of, quite grindhouse nasty.
Yes.
And obviously I'd seen Dead Hooker in a Trunk as well, so, but it actually went way more highbrow than I expected, and that actually super impressed me. So I suppose it isn't really a criticism.
I think that's why I liked it as much as well, is that the camera just lingered enough and then moved off.
Yeah. And
you see what you see. And then, or you can infer what you want to infer from bandages and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But very well done. I mean, I'm completely impressed with the Soska sisters. So I can't wait to see.
I can't wait to see it.
I've noticed that they are doing... There's a movie that I haven't quite delved into yet because it seems to be on this whole anthology type thing again. The ABCs of Death.
Yep, I keep meaning to see that myself.
Yeah, and then there's going to be an ABCs of Death 2. Which shouldn't really be a shock.
Shouldn't that be the 1, 2, 3s of Death?
Possibly, yeah. But they're doing a section in the second one.
Ah, excellent.
So I might have to watch the first one now, so I can see the second one or whatever. I don't know.
I keep looking for that coming up. When I see it on sort of a Netflix or something I can get to, then I'll probably watch it.
But yeah, it's on Netflix here, and I just keep passing by because I just keep thinking of VHS in my head. Blah blah blah. But. Whether I really want to see 26 different takes on death. Was it 20? I think it's 26. One for each letter.
It's quite a lot, yeah.
And then I started the day out with the Devil's Pass. Or the Dyatlov Pass incident.
These were 9 experienced backpackers. You're telling me that they all got severe hypothermia at the same time on the same night?
My name is Holly King. A buddy of mine said that we should make a film.
This is where it happened. This is Dyatlov's Pass. We found footprints.
The GPS is all screwed up.
You must go no!
Why can't we interview Peter Karab?
He's dead.
You believe what everyone tells you to believe?
heard that, right?
There's a door! Something's here.
That on the whole Fright Fest schedule was the one I wanted to see least.
Really?
Had I been there, the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Did not appeal to me one little bit.
The ending fucking ruined the entire thing in a massive, massive, massive way.
That old chestnut.
It's a 5.3 on IMDb. It's a... People, if you're looking at it in America and you see a potentially naked or half-naked woman, just ignore that, because that's just bullshit. It doesn't even belong there. It's just there, I guess, because, oh look, it's horror and let's put a half-naked chick on it. Even though you just see her back. There is no mention of the boobometer at all on this. Even though Gemma Atkinson's in it, they do get a close-up of her fully clothed boobs. And they tease it, a tiny little bit, but nothing happens.
I was going to say, from what I know about the synopsis of that movie, I don't see the potential. It's not the sort of movie I would expect to score at all. So that's really bad advertising if that's what's on the poster.
It's really bad advertising. And I mean, there should be an entry on it because it's found footage, young people together, and the guy likes to record sex tapes on his phone.
Oh, I see.
Which they all set up, so you just assume you're going to get that, but you don't get it. Which is fine. But don't set something up and don't do it. Anyway. From it being a found footage perspective, it ruins it because they don't explain really as to how we can be watching recordings from this guy's phone. Because I'm fairly sure the phone gets completely fucking destroyed. Even though they set it up as an indestructible phone. I can't quite remember how they could keep that, but anyway.
With a huge memory, I'm guessing, if it's a feature length long enough to have that much footage.
Absolute massive memory, because he's recording on it constantly. So...
That's bullshit. Sorry.
So, and obviously he has like 900 rechargeable batteries or something he can just plug it up to or whatever, to be able to work in the middle of nowhere. So, yeah. Which is, going back to the Frankenstein theory, was one of the problems again, is these cameras last for so long. And I know it's a big issue that you have, so... It just makes it unbelievable.
If you do it real time, okay, you can have a video camera with flash memory that will record for something like 20 hours worth of space if you've got a big enough flash drive. And batteries are getting better. And you can probably have sort of 4 or 5 hours worth of footage with you. I get pissed off with these movies when they say it's edited down and they've apparently been filming everything for 2 days. And it's like, well, no, because you run out of one or the other.
Yeah.
And if it was like a real-time shot, and you got a 2-hour movie out of one long continuous shot on a camera, then that works.
Yeah.
They've got no issue with that, But when you start stretching the believability of it, and when they're using the onboard camera light as a light source, you want to know how much more that drains the battery? Unless you've got your separate battery belt for your lights. Yeah, you're in different territory there. You have to be very careful with that.
But I was really surprised, and I was really enjoying this up till about the hour and 10-minute mark, which still had half an hour to go. I think it tried to be clever and completely failed, and the closing shot was a complete Wendy fucking shot.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And it just pissed me off something fucking rotten. Rennie Harlan, fuck off. I mean, I know you're not making the best movies in the entire world, but funnily enough, Deep Blue Sea. Anyway, but we just can't get away from that movie these last couple of weeks. But
although listening to you say that has made me just remember something I wanted to bring up, because it's very easy to sit in your comfy living room with a microphone and slag off various directors, actors, whatever. I had a very surreal moment I was at Fright Fest for part of 2 of the days, and I'm talking like very small sections. But there was one very surreal moment where I turned around. This is outside screen 1. I turned around, looked behind me, and I went, "Oh shit, he's familiar." And then turned back round to my friends and went, "I recognise that small creepy dude behind me." And I'm like, "Oh god, it's the guy from Human Centipede 2. the guy with the bug eyes. I'm just like, that's him. That's the actor. And he looked like a really, don't get me wrong, he looked like a genuinely nice bloke talking to fans, whatever. And my friend said, "Oh, go and interview him. Go and talk to him." And I went, I kind of don't want to. They're like, "Why?" I said, "Because I've said publicly on the show that I hate the Human Centipede 2, and I feel it has no artistic merit. I would be such a hypocrite if I went over and, 'Hi, can I just interview for my podcast?' I'd be like, 'No, I can't be that big a cunt. I'm sorry.'" So I just took a sneaky picture of him instead, which we'll see if we can sneak onto the show notes or something. But that was... So of course, then you're walking around thinking, who else have we slagged off? Who else have we... I'm thinking, if that Dominic dude walks around the corner, if he'd ever listened to our show, he would just deck me on sight. So it does make you think, I'm going to think a little bit before I cast really harsh judgments about directors and people who work on movies.
Yes. No, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the acting or anything in this. Or anything like that. The writers just try to be too clever.
And actually, if I was going to sort of clarify that other statement, I don't like the movie, no. I'm not a fan of Tom Six, really, so far, no. What I will not fault is that, I don't know his name, I'm afraid, I'm terrible, but that dude's performance in The Human Centipede 2 is fantastic. He is a great little actor. So, on that basis, I could have been genuine, but I thought, no, not going there.
Yeah, I liked you in the movie, but it was shit.
Yeah, I liked you in that god-awful movie.
Which I'm sure they hear all the time, so it should be fine.
Yeah.
But that brings me to an end, really. It was kind of disappointing, shall I say. But I'm very glad that people recommended that I watch American Mary.
It's because you didn't save the best till last, that's what it is.
Yeah, well, that's because the one I wasn't sure of, so I didn't want to watch it too late at the night, in case I was going to miss something and fall asleep, and then I was a bit uneasy about watching it and everything, so... I kind of put it on in the middle of everything.
Yeah, did you pack it crisp too early?
Yes, I did, unfortunately. And that just tainted Frankenstein's army. Not really, it was just... Anyway. So what about you, sir? What else have you been watching?
I've been a busy boy. I'm going to start with the non-Fright Fest related stuff. Basically, I went to see You're Next last night. As I say, I've not been particularly well, so I was sort of am I going to have to run to the toilet halfway through this movie? Kind of a situation. But to be honest, it took my mind off it completely. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay, we should each carry a weapon.
One of our, I think, Trapper John on Twitter, I think he listens to the show. He basically, on Facebook, was saying something about going to see it, and I said, "Oh, a good movie," and he said, "Best horror movie of the year."
Wow.
And I was like, "Ooh, could I go that far?" I'm thinking, well, I'll wait till the end of the year and then I'll tell you. But it's up there, definitely. And this is from someone who historically hates home invasion movies.
Yeah, that's what I'm really intrigued by.
Yeah, They generally don't do it for me, in that I always get frustrated with the people in said home.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, could you be a bit less fucking stupid? You know, and it kind of starts off in that vein, and you get me and Lavinia especially, she's brilliant just sitting watching all these fucking horror movies with me, and she's really starting to see some of the things, you know, she's seeing some endearing qualities in it, and actually coming out and saying, "I like that movie," which I honestly never thought would happen. And I'm not cruel. I'm not forcing her to watch any of this, I have to say to people. It is purely her own choice. But, yeah, we're sitting there going, "Oh, no, they should do this. Oh, they should do that." And we did start that a little bit. But as the film went on, you stopped, because it's actually pretty intelligently done. It's a family with a big house in the middle of nowhere, standard sort of setup. And quite similar to The Purge, really. In that sort of setup. And the difference is the attackers have these animal masks on. It's no spoiler because you see it in the trailer. In fact, you see quite a lot in the trailer.
Yeah.
And there's one really obvious scare, and you're like, well, yeah, I've seen that in the trailer. But you realise that doesn't actually matter, that you've seen that. It doesn't really spoil anything else. And they do a couple of others. We had a couple of jumps at various points through the movie.
It's good.
But it's basically a family, the siblings come, each sibling has a partner that the others haven't met.
Right.
So there's 3 of them and 3 partners, and everybody's together for the parents' anniversary and having this big meal. And as often the case with families, a big argument starts up at the dinner table, and that's where things start to go a bit wrong. What I love is one of them, she brings her boyfriend over. His name was... I can't remember. Anyway. I'm not going to... I was going to look it up, can't be bothered. Anyway, but he's basically his Ty West.
Oh, right, okay.
I didn't realise till the credits rolled.
I heard he was in it.
Yeah, it's quite funny actually, what they do with him. Now I realise who he was. But basically, one of the brothers, who it sort of follows more, you know they're the main protagonist because the camera's with them from the beginning sort of thing. And his girlfriend, and she's quite well versed in how to look after herself, shall we say.
Okay.
And all the dumbass heroine getting away at the end by the skin of her teeth stuff is flipped on its head by this movie, and I'm going to say nothing else other than to say the movie ended and I turned to Lavinia and said, okay, home invasion occurs, that's how you behave. Take this as a training manual, that's how you behave. So that might have been a spoiler actually, I hope not. But I definitely give it a watch, and it is a dark comedy. And this is one of the things I wanted to mention about Fright Fest, because I got to see VHS 2 on the Friday night and Odd Thomas on the Monday. And the thing I loved about just sitting in that huge auditorium with all those horror fans is something pretty gross happens where I would normally go, nah, and the whole audience does as well. I was like, these are my people. I am home. Because normally I'm just the one... I honestly was the only bloke in the cinema laughing last night, as usual. At these really sort of twisted, kind of dark moments, just going, that's brilliant. And most people are a bit shocked or whatever. And I know for a fact that when that played at that Fright Fest, there were a lot of giggles, and probably at all the same moments. So I kind of wish I'd got to see it there. But I suppose, yeah, this is a ringing endorsement of this film. Thoroughly enjoyable.
I can't wait to see it.
That one. Yeah. And then obviously that will segue nicely into VHS 2, which I see your point. How you may not enjoy it as a whole, but the beauty of the VHS, anthology kind of setup is you can say you enjoyed the movie because you enjoyed parts of it.
Yeah.
And I loved Gareth Evans and Timo. I can't pronounce his second name. In fact, Gareth did say in his Q&A how to pronounce his partner's name, because everybody always gets it fucking wrong, to quote him. But I didn't catch it, sorry Timo. But yeah, it's the longest section in the movie. It's sort of in the middle, and I adored it. I thought it was brilliantly done.
I can't remember which section was that. Is that I've gone by the name. It's obviously going to be the Japanesey type section.
It's the Indonesian one.
The Indonesian one. I apologise, not Japanese. Yeah. Indonesian one.
Okay.
So
yeah, and obviously Gareth Evans is famous for directing The Raid, which is one of my all-time favourite martial arts movies. And I didn't realise until walking into the screening, and they basically introduced it and said, afterwards we're going to have an interview with one of the directors, Gareth Evans, who's got something special for us afterwards. And I'm like, fucking brilliant! I love this dude. Because if you haven't seen The Raid is basically an Indonesian language film, but it's set in a tower block, and it got a bit of stick for being a similar plot to Dread. They had nothing to do with each other. It was just one of those chance things, really. But it's basically a showcase for Pencat Silat, which is the Filipino martial art. Right. Which I did a little bit of the Kali side of it, which is sticks and knives, basically, and two-handed stick fighting and stuff. So, which I really dig. And it's just a showcase for all that stuff. It's a brilliant movie, and it put him on the map firmly. Mm-hmm. No two ways about it. Yeah. So, yeah, the movie screened, and there's some great little gross bits. I'm actually not going to say anything about the individual parts of it. Just, I would say you have to go see this one. Lavinia nearly threw up, bless her, and it's nothing to do with people vomiting or blood spurting or eating other people's body parts or anything like that. It's just she can't do the shaky cam thing.
Yeah.
And she's never had to watch it on a big screen before, and she was like fully feeling sick because of the motion, and then somebody does blow chunks, and she's like, oh no, I can't watch. So I felt a bit mean about that, but there were some just laugh out loud, gory, stupid kind of where nobody would be laughing normally had I not been sitting with a Fright Fest audience. which I loved. That was fantastic.
But no, I'm glad you've now seen it, because then we can do our VHS special.
Yeah, we could, yeah. So, obviously after that, they did a Q&A with Gareth, as I said, which hopefully we have some audio we could drop in.
So, how restrictive did you find this format for a movie?
The difficulty is always for ours, because we did like button cams on there. At the start, we had a lot of flexibility, so we introduced like security cams and the production cameras, and then also the button cameras. So that kind of opened it up a little bit. We could be a bit more flexible with our editing and cheat. There's no way it's found footage, it's POV horror from our perspective. That's what we were going for. But then once we started killing everyone off, and once the batteries ran out in the other cameras, meant we only had this, that was it. And so all of the things that we wanted to do, sort of like narratively or dramatically, we were restricted to wherever this white lens would get us. So like in the moment when the one friend is on his knees with the shotgun to his head, shooting that in a normal sense, punch in for all those little details, all the reactions, all the emotion, but now we're stuck with just this one perspective. So that was kind of restricting. But like despite those restrictions, we had like some fun stuff to do with it as well. Like the compound itself, we made up out of about 5 different locations. So we had to kind of, in pre-production, then we had to kind of look around and see what was similar between all those locations, architecturally speaking, so that we could figure out, okay, well I can cut from like the tile wall here to the tile wall in this set, and then trying to find a way to come in and make it feel like it's all one shot. So that end point when he's running out of the compound for like 5 minutes, 6 minutes, the goal then and the challenge then is to make it feel like it's one shot, without doing static cuts and without doing sort of time cuts.
Yeah, and obviously coming out of that Q&A, which really made me chuckle a lot, Gareth's standing there, and there's a moderate queue of people getting stuff signed. So I joined this queue with my little recording device, and I actually got a little chat with him. Although I say a chat with him, one thing, this is the first time I've ever interviewed somebody famous, okay? I was very nervous. And what does Boz do when he's nervous? He talks, and he talks. And it was kind of, I came out, I went, yes, note to self, Boz, when interviewing somebody famous, let them get a fucking word in edgeways, will you?
Oh.
So, yeah, you can by all means put a clip of me fumbling around with that as well, if you like, just to take the piss.
I haven't got anything to sign, but can I steal some audio from you?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I do a podcast.
Alright, nice one.
A little pod of horrors. But it's a massive sort of coincidence, because I did Carly and Sealat, and I fell in love with the martial art.
Okay,
when I saw
cool.
the raid, I was like, gobsmacked.
Nice one.
But I had no idea this was coming. So your bit in VHS 2, combined with the sneak peek of the second one, was the most awesome thing.
Thanks.
Poor Boz. You did good. No, you did good.
But I was like, I love horror films, and I love Sealat, and you did that raid film, and that was brilliant. And he's going, oh really, you did? Yeah, okay. Yeah, he kept trying to comment on what I was saying, and I had this thing where I've been told when somebody's famous, then their person is standing with them, their agent, whatever, that they're the ones who stand frowning at you, going, "Oh, you're taking too long. You're taking too long." And there's a queue of people behind you, and it's like, I didn't want to fuck around and waste his time. Yeah. So I just rattled this off and said, can you please record this? So that's why we have what we have. But he was a super nice guy. Shook my hand twice. Yeah, I can't say enough nice things about him. But the secret surprise at the end of the movie was he brought some sneak peek footage from the Raid 2. Which had quite a lot of blood in it. So it fit in well at Fright Fest. It was just an awesome fight sequence on a train, basically. Just a lot of they're editing it now.
Right, okay.
So, I mean, it's really, really advanced preview of part of it, and it's like, can't wait for this movie. So it was like a wet dream for me. That's probably...
Well, I'm glad you liked.
Poor choice of words, possibly. And then we went back on Monday, because I had to go out for the rest of the weekend. Came back on the Monday, and we managed to catch Odd Thomas, which was probably one of the more accessible films to non-horror fans, which was brilliant because my friends Timo and Marianne were over from Finland staying with us, and obviously, like I said, we were going to see the Book of Mormon that night, so we went to see Odd Thomas first, and they said it hasn't been picked up for distribution in the UK yet. What the fuck? Somebody buy that movie. I fucking loved it. Now, this is from someone who read the book as well, and with my recent disgust about World War Z, it's like, no, that's how you follow a book's plot. It's like, they took the book and the book was a story, right? And there's certain scenes, like chronologically in a book, which make up the story. And say you were making a film of that, you might take those scenes in order and kind of make them similar to what the book says, and then you might have a good movie. This is always my problem with comic book adaptations. There's lots of very good comic books out there with stories, with scenes. They've even drawn the fucking pictures for you. I don't know, maybe it's like a storyboard. You know, those things you pay somebody to draw. Somebody's already fucking drawn it. Just take that, make a movie of that, and we wouldn't have shit comic book movies. Sorry, I got my textbooks on, didn't I? So, yeah, they sort of, I'm sitting there going, this is so faithful to the book. This is brilliant. And it's a kind of story where it's a love story, really, with ghostly gribblies in it. And it's like, it could have been ham and cheese on toast again. It could have been just the most sickly sweet, you know, here's your cinema ticket and your bucket, not your bucket of popcorn, your throw-up bucket, go in and watch this film. And the style of it's snappy. They've lifted lines, some of the snappy lines from the book, they've lifted straight out and dropped into the movie. And I tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it destroyed me as well.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow.
And this is one of the ones where I managed to get some crowd reaction, basically, and I met a very nice young lady by the name of Kay, who gladly gave me an interview about her thoughts on Odd Thomas.
I didn't get to the whole of Fright Fest, so there were just a couple of things I wanted to pick out. I got to VHS 2 and Odd Thomas, and I'm very glad I did. What were your reactions to Odd Thomas?
Okay, I absolutely loved it. I love the film Constantine, so it kind of had elements of like Constantine, but not being so dark and everything. It was fun, nice, clean fun. I love William Dafoe anyway, so it was just really awesome. It was just one of those kind of creepy, fun, awesome movies that you just kind of expect at a festival. So
it shocked me in their kind of fast cuts, kind of editorial style, and the zippiness and the comedy dialogue.
Yeah,
and everything, so.
I mean, it could have easily ended up being a bit of a Men in Black kind of thing.
It could actually,
but it was. I really love what they did with it, and they kind of maintained all the creepiness, and they had really good characters as well, really strong characters. I think, just the relationships between them. So.
Had you read the book?
No.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Go on, tell me. Because I thought it was a really faithful adaptation of the book.
No, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I think it was even some of the like dialogue was almost sort of drawn straight out of it.
It was, It was years since I'd read it, and I was like,
I
forgot that bit. It's like normally in the movie there's just huge swathes and chunks of it missing, and it's like, oh, they should have put that in. And I come out of that thinking that was everything I remember, except for the end. How did I forget the end?
Yeah,
that broke me. So.
Yeah, I did get a bit emotional.
Yeah, it really upset me when I read it in the book, and I was thinking, how are they going to make it like? How are they going to finish it like that without giving it away or making it really obvious?
Yeah.
I thought that.
I really like the relationship between Odd and Stormy because I don't know, it can be quite cheesy, something like that.
Yes.
But when you're at a horror festival, I guess you're kind of one of those people that want to find somebody who understands horror.
Yeah.
So it's really nice that he's got this gift, and he's with somebody who is destined to be with. And, so you know.
I think they set it up to be that cheesy, though, don't they? And somehow get away with it. I have no idea how they did that. So.
Probably because they just like head it straight on and not trying to make it. It's intentional.
And everybody was just like cool with it. They were like, oh, he's odd, right? And he's got his girlfriend. So
yeah, they're totally in love and not in a hipster douchebag kind of a way. So.
And the CGI was really good as well. Like when you see the demons, the dead things. Yeah, those things. Yeah. I love the way that it was really seamless. It wasn't like, oh, that looks a bit crap. It was really good.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thank you for your time.
No worries.
Enjoy what's left of the festival. Okay, thank you.
But actually, that was really funny because her friend was standing next to her. I'm sorry to her friend, I didn't get your name because I said, "Can I get your thoughts on this movie?" And she said, "Yeah, she'll talk to you. I'm not." And then you hear her towards the end of the interview. She chipped in as well because she couldn't resist putting a two-penny in because it's the kind of film that makes you want to talk about it. So,
well, that's good then.
I really enjoyed it. Also, did a bit of PR for the show. Made some little cards and. Then completely pushed out on handing any out, but thankfully my beloved was with me, and she's just brilliant. And she just runs up to people. Do you like podcasts? Here, have a card. Just smacks them in the face with it. And I'm standing there like I'm trying to pick my targets. Oh, do they look like podcast people? Should I give them a card? And I'm being really choosy about it. And she just comes marching over with this guy with a bag with him, and says, "He likes horror. You talk." I was like, "Okay." It was kind of this awkward setup, but she basically landed me an interview. This guy's called Richard Gladman, and he's just started a really cool retro magazine called Space Monsters.
Nice.
And it's all the old school Space 1999, Dark Side of the Moon, Them, The Blob, all that kind of stuff, but it's all about the sort of the horror aspects of those old movies. And it's all those movies people say, you should watch this, you should watch that, and I never bloody do. You've got Godzilla in there, all kinds of stuff, and this is a brilliant little publication. He very kindly gave us a copy of it, which I'm going to send to you, sir, once I finish reading it. And they've got a bit of a boon coming up in future issues, which I'll let him tell you about on this little interview.
Lots of orders from the States as well, and Australia and Canada. But obviously, really here, it's Hemlock Books stocking it and promoting it for us. Cinema Store. And actually, because I'm from Brighton, there's a local gallery on the seafront.
Oh, really?
An art gallery, but they just love it, and they're selling it. And my local news agents, because I just went in and chatted to them, and they were like, yeah. And the rest of it's all online sales, and there's a digital version as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get the word out so that, you know, and beyond the usual kind of niche Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
It's got all these thousands of kind of followers, but it's quite niche.
Yeah, it doesn't do a lot, does it? We all sort of talk to each other and then we stop there.
It does. I mean, you know, you get your initial sales, you get a lot of good sales, a lot of people retweeting and stuff, but then it kind of fizzles.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, actually, I need to get out further. But I haven't done a big press release yet, so I was actually holding that back.
What's your going forward? So it is all the retro stuff.
It is retro, yeah. From issue 2, I mean, the scoop is we've got Emily Booth writing a column.
Oh, really? Excellent.
So, and she's on the cover as well. Our artist has done like a painting of her.
Yeah.
With the monster from the 50s film, It the Terror from Beyond Space.
Right.
Because she's reviewing it,
but
in her kind of way. As someone who's not as au fait with the sci-fi, because she's really obviously a horror fan herself as well as in the industry.
Yes.
But so she's doing it. It's Emily Booth's B-Movie Boutique.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So it's going to be cool. And also we've got Billy Chainsaw. Do you know Billy?
I
From
know of.
Cut, Bizarre, Shop Horror Mag, a few
yeah.
films and stuff. And he's an artist as well, so he's going to be doing like a painting as a... He's going to do like a review of an old film, like a really trashy one.
Yeah.
But also do like a piece of art as a movie poster, but as an alternative movie poster. So it's kind of deconstructing the old film and then kind of putting it back together as a new piece of art. So
there's a lot of... Well, we get a lot of people saying, you do all the modern stuff, you do, you know, and the 80s stuff and stuff like that, but you don't really... We haven't really touched on this area of the genre yet, and it's something I'll admit I haven't got a lot of knowledge about, but I love it all. So it's like,
I'll teach you.
I'm obviously, like everybody else, I'm familiar with the imagery and everything else, but I've never actually sat and watched them. So
it's they're a thing unto themselves. Actually, a lot of them. A lot of it is because of the cheese factor, but also it's nostalgia. You know, it's a combination of everything, and it's pop culture, like you say, the imagery.
Yeah.
So it's where it all actually came from.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the Bram Stoker Fest, you know the Bram Stoker International Film Festival?
I've heard of it, but again,
up in Whitby, amazing. They're doing this year one room that deals exclusively with like old B movies, sci-fi, and classic horror.
Cool.
Then the other big screen will be more this type of thing, you know, which is different films. Cool. So I'm going up there.
Oh, that'd be good. Well, we'll definitely give you a shout.
Yeah, thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you for your time. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, take it easy.
And, see you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Richard basically goes by Cyber Schizoid on Twitter, so we're all now followed up and everything else. But as you hear us mention, he's trying to get outside of the social media sort of linking up and try and get word out a bit further. So yeah, I said we would give it a plug on the show, as he's kind enough to give me a copy. So about halfway through, I'm really enjoying it. So one thing again, my brilliant interviewing techniques, didn't ask where people can get it, but I'm assuming the website is going to be your best bet at the moment. The website is spacemonstersmag.wordpress.com. Or you can find them at the Facebook /Space Monsters Magazine, which we'll put in the show notes as well. So, yeah, thank you, Richard. That was awesome. Yeah, the other thing I realised, sort of going to Fright Fest, and as I'm fully planning to go next year, because Lavinia was like, well, I don't know what's happening next year. I was like, no, we do, because it's booked now, okay? It is booked. If anything else comes along, I don't care. Fright Fest is me there, whole weekend. Booked, done. That is it. Holidays, booked, there, done. So, there is no question about me not being there. But what I realise is, we have this very sort of, yes, our show is opinion-based, we don't do a lot of research, we don't hobnob in the horror world very much, but it was a little bit embarrassing, a little bit difficult talking to Richard, because he's clearly very well connected, he knows loads of people. He's like, do you know this person? No. Have you heard of this? No. And it was just like, I'm so clueless about the Fright Fest world, and all the little links that get made, and who's out there, and who's talking about this and that and the other. I mean, I actually try not to listen to other horror podcasts, because otherwise I'll end up recycling what they say, and I'd rather my opinions were uninformed than just my opinions, you know? And sometimes you can form them based on what other people are saying about stuff. So I actually do that intentionally. It's not that I think I'm better or anything. No, it's completely the other side of it. So
No, that makes sense.
But I do, I could clearly do with knowing a bit more about the world of horror and who's doing what. So, it was quite a learning curve, but I thoroughly enjoyed being there.
That's good. And you got to watch, well, basically, I don't know if you kept up with any news coming out of Fright Fest, but Screen 1 is no more.
Really?
Yep, they closed it down.
Why?
It's not financially viable.
Oh, well, it is huge.
Yep, I think it's 1,300 seats or something in there.
Yeah.
And the closing film at Fright Fest was the last movie to ever be shown on that screen.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite gutted about that. I loved that auditorium. It was immense.
Yes. And although Fright Fest have said they will be back at the Empire next year, people aren't sure as to just how. Or I've been reading some fan reactions going, I don't know how that's going to work with smaller screens. Because the whole point is you're being with a big group.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Or it's grown into being with a big group. I know it started small in the Prince Charles Cinema in London, which is tiny compared to Screen 1 at the Empire.
Well, the first thing to go will be what I was able to do and buy tickets, arbitrary on either side. You could only get at the back at the side.
Yeah.
Was all you could buy, because the rest was taken up by the festival, but there'll be no buy on the day tickets, I wouldn't have thought.
No idea, so there's lots of speculation out there and lots of people worried about how it might kind of ruin the atmosphere. But I'm sure the guys have thought long and hard about that, and I'm sure they're not going to try and they won't deliberately have anything ruined where they can avoid it and still try to make it as good as they can, making sure as many people get to see what you want to see and all that fun stuff. But that's the problem with festivals.
I'll report from there next year.
We look forward to that in advance. Let the countdown commence.
I have one other cool thing to mention. Yeah. Whilst I had to disappear off Saturday, Sunday up to Leeds for my good friend Alison's birthday, which was awesome, and it was lovely to see everybody there, and we had honestly, it was the most awesome weekend possible. Started Friday night with VHS 2, which I adored, and then, meeting Gareth Evans, and then up to Leeds, and then we had like an awesome day driving back. We went via Hereford to see Casey, my co-host from Here Goes Nothing. Those of you who know that on the way back via Essex back to Surrey. I mean, it was a long day, but it was awesome. But our friend Emma was with us, and Emma's getting married this year. Yay. And she happened to mention what she was doing for her hen do, and I sort of invited myself to her hen do.
You're not hen.
Yeah,
okay.
I've got the boobs.
Are you the entertainment?
Well, I've offered to. I will go and drag if I have to. I'd rather not, but if it qualifies me for the visit, oh God, she's going to hold me to that now. But the reason I sort of went, oh, cool, brilliant. When are we doing that sort of thing? I didn't really think, oh yeah, hen do. It's not really for boys. But the reason being is what she's doing is going to see Friday the 13th film 1 to 8.
Oh wow!
Back to back. Yes, starting on Friday night, finishing Saturday morning, basically. And it's unfortunately they're not going to do Jason X, which is my favourite. But anyway, but it's films 1 to 8.
I wonder why they're stopping at 8. Back. Maybe it's a timing thing.
I think just time. Yeah, time. It's got to be because it's a working cinema, so they'll probably start their screenings at 10 o'clock the next morning. And they're kicking us out at 9, I think. So, but it's just such a cool thing. I was like, I have to be there. And it's like, okay, I won't Crash your hen do, it's just, I'll be there too. Just so you know. And I noticed one of our Twitter followers, Monster Man, has also said he's going.
Oh, I miss so much being butt-fuck nowhere.
Well, I would have missed this if I still lived in Stoke-on-Trent, but being near London now, I can take advantage of such things. But it shows I have to keep my head to the ground a bit more. My ear to the ground, rather, for this kind of stuff going on, because I'm all up for this now.
Yeah. Well, then, keeping in the Fright Fest theme, they do have all-nighters and all that stuff going on. Coming up around Halloween, so
I have to hit
keep posted on the website or be subscribed to their newsletters and digital magazine and stuff to make sure you stay up to date on that.
I shall do that. I am going to... they do one in Leeds in November. It's called Night of the Dead, which has been going for a few years now, and our friend Jonathan Bloody Wilkinson goes to that normally, so I shall be going with him to that festival, even though it's one night. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to screen at that one. So
it's always a good chance to catch up with some stuff you might not normally catch up with.
Yeah, and the hope is I can just go and stick my recorder under different people's faces, and hopefully I'll get better at it and learn to let them talk.
You get there, you get there.
That's all she wrote, really. I just say I'm a little bit gutted I wasn't there for the whole weekend. There's a lot of films I wanted to see, and hopefully I'll get round to them all.
Yeah, I plan on getting round to most of them.
Go see Odd Thomas if you get a chance. I really thoroughly enjoyed, and it's mainstream good. It isn't just horror fan good. It's not scary. There's a couple of jumpy-ish bits, but no, it's not. It's not gruesome. It's not scary. It's just a really good little movie. As the guy who plays Chekhov in the new Star Trek, I can't remember his name, but he does a really good job.
Do you have to read the book to appreciate it more, or...?
Possibly, yeah. I think you might find the lovey-dovey stuff a little bit more difficult if you hadn't read the book.
Okay.
But to be honest, the trailer sums it up nicely. It really does. There's all this ridiculous stuff with him flipping burgers on the grill, and you think it's going to be a bit slapstick as a film. It's not. It's just that bit.
Right, okay.
It's a little bit OTT in places, but there's this zappy, snappy editing style which just makes it so much more palatable, which, is great.
Oh, that's good then.
So I enjoyed it.
Glad you did. Otherwise, it would have been a bit embarrassing if you'd went and gone, yes, these are fucking crap. I don't like doing this. So it's good that you had a good time and got to experience some of it.
Yeah, I just apologise for the fact that you're going to have the mammoth job editing this show. If you thought editing was hard before. There's a taste of things to come.
There's nothing wrong with that. All adds to the show and makes it a lot of fun. It keeps it interesting for everybody. So I think that's it. I have nothing else to add. Apart from I am 50% of the way through Infected. I'm getting there.
Oh!
I'm getting there.
Can we get an early opinion so far?
I'm liking it so far. I'm confused as to where it's going to go. I'm a bit intrigued. And I'm certainly making me worry a lot more the fact that I'm scratching the bites on my legs.
Yes.
Makes me a little bit more paranoid, shall we say.
Ain't no doubt about it.
But I'm assisting that this isn't a trilogy, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so that makes it...
Pandemic is out in January.
Right, okay.
Available for pre-order now.
Get your plug in.
At Amazon, and I think it's Barnes & Noble. If you want a signed copy, you can pre-order from them and get the Sigler to sign for you.
So that makes me wonder where it's going to end as well. So kind of knowing it's part of a trilogy is kind of... I don't know if it's tainting the ending for me just yet, but I'm very curious. I want to get into it and finish it. So I was just getting the time. I was kind of usually reading for 15-20 minutes before I go to bed. So
he does good crescendo, satisfying endings, even though it can be open ended but still end.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So,
that's good.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be disappointed, but be very interested to see.
Yeah. So hopefully by the next show I will be either finished or even closer to the end. But it's my mission to finish by the next show. Fingers crossed. So I guess on that note, we shall get the hell out of here.
Yes.
So we can. So as always, please continue to send in feedback. thelittlepodofhorrors@gmail.com. Please go to follow us on Twitter @podofhorrors. Like us on Facebook. Come on, people. Like us on Facebook. Please.
Reviews on iTunes, please.
Yes.
And check out the blog, of course.
Yes.
This man has done sterling work on it.
Because if you go along to the blog, you can find out just when the next show is going to come out. There's a little countdown on there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I like that. Don't hold me to it, just in case anything goes wrong.
Shit happens, people. Shit happens.
But if you go along there, you can hopefully have a little rough idea as to when the next show will be up. And lots of fun stuff. I'm going to try and put as much up there as I can. just to do with little silly things that come along with books of reading or articles to check out or anything like that. So it's going to be the hip and happening place to go, people. And then you can leave comments and everything on there as well. So lots of places to get in touch, lots of places to leave your feedback. Please do so. And hopefully everybody out there will be just as excited about us as for bringing the Admiral on board for his little section. And I cannot wait to hear his first review for us.
I can't.
Finally, or maybe not finally, but maybe put an end to Boz thinking Shark Night's not very good. But I'd probably not.
The truth will win through.
He's probably going to hate it, and then it'll just be beating up on me. But oh well, that's horror, and that's the fun.
Yeah.
So we shall speak to you all very, very soon. So bye bye.
Goodbye.
If you would like to send an email to the show, please do so at thelittlepodofhorrors@gmail.com. Also, why not go along to the website at www.thelittlepodofhorrors.com, and from there you can find links to our Twitter, Facebook, Google+, forum and blog page. Thanks for listening.
Be right back.
Boy, I'm glad that cup was empty.
Oh, that's an outtake. We got that. We got
please
that.
tell me, I was going to say, please tell me you got that.
I've got that.
Alrighty.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you, sir. You just gave us a outtake for the show, so that was wonderful.
Always glad to oblige.